Gold just hit $3,000 for the first time in history, but the real story isn't gold, it's the dollar. With the US struggling to refinance $7 trillion in debt and global demand for gold rising, what's really driving this surge? Let's break it all down.
Gary, moving forward to thing number 3, we're talking about gold now. Gold breaks the $3,000 mark for the first time. You say, we could say this another way, the dollar is declining. Thing number 3, Gary, gold breaks $3,000 for the first time. Tell us more.
So, Rob, I always love when you tell people, hey, there are benefits to subscribing. For those of you who are on the fence, DKI started buying gold in 2000. Sorry, I've got 2000 in the written version. It was actually 2020. Mea culpa on the typo to anybody who saw this. But over the last 5 years, since we've owned gold, the dollar price of gold has almost doubled. That would pay for your subscription over that time. So it's had an incredible run for a typically sleepy asset that often goes decades without doing anything. It's doubled, almost doubled in the time that we've owned it in just 5 years. That's the kind of thing that, you can get rich on and avoid being poor. You have returns like that. Gold almost hit $2,000 in 2011, then declined and didn't reach its prior high until late 2019. And so, the price of gold in dollars has almost doubled since 2020, also since 2022. It went up and then came down. Economists keep claiming that tariffs would strengthen the dollar, which should lead to a lower gold price, but obviously something different is happening here.
Gary, with that point, the economists talking about tariffs strengthening the dollar. What exactly is happening here? Because it seems like that might not necessarily be the case.
So, Rob, I think we have two things going on. One is, despite the left going crazy about potential cuts by Doge and cutting wasteful government spending, the truth is we just saw a deal in Washington for a $7 trillion budget where they cut a total of $7 billion. So they cut $7 billion on a budget that was $7,000 billion. This is a fraction of 1%. So what we still have is trillions of dollars of debt-fueled wasteful spending that increases the money supply. And so that's why we still have inflation. And people keep saying, well, but we have disinflation. Inflation has come down. But the truth is, these losses compound. And even a 3% inflation rate will take a massive portion of your wealth over a 10, 20, 30, 40-year period. And, people invest over the long haul like that. So that's part of what's happening. The other issue, and this is something we've talked about as well, former Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen left current Treasury Secretary Bessent in a terrible situation. She shortened the duration on the bond portfolio, what the U.S. uses to borrow. And Bessent now has to refinance $7 trillion in the next 12 months. That's on our total $37 trillion of on-balance sheet debt. That's a gigantic number that has to be refinanced in the next 12 months. So this is something we talked about a week or two ago. The Trump administration has been taking action to reduce the yield on the 10-year Treasury, which is weakening the dollar against other currencies. A weaker dollar means higher dollar prices for gold. So I get that this can be confusing. There are a lot of moving parts, but we're just trying to simplify it. Basically, if the Treasury has to issue a lot of debt, you need to reduce the yield on that debt. If you get paid less to hold dollars, then you would pay less for dollars. A declining dollar value means a higher dollar price for gold. It really is just one thing leads to another. And that's where we are. The final point I'd add on this is more countries like China and India want less exposure to the dollar, and they've been buying and taking delivery of huge quantities of physical gold. We believe this trend will continue. But for those of you who are pro-gold, anti-gold, feel free to put it in the comments. What do you think? Is this gold run going to continue? Are we going to be heading toward 4,000, or do you think gold will come back to the 2,500 level? Let us know what you think. Put it in the comments.
Yeah, please do. Always a polarizing topic one way or the other. and love any sort of discourse questions that you might have. Again, this week's version of the 5 things, and also head to the website deepknowledgeinvesting.com, and you can ask Gary questions with our Ask Gary feature. Anything that you might have around points being made on the show, content he's writing about online, please feel free to use that feature on the website.